18% battery.
Let's go up. We've got hounds in cry.
We've got hounds.
We're coming up to support you. Okay.
So last weekend, the legends that are Chris Packham and Megan McCubbin teamed up with the brilliant Northants Hunt Sabs to pursue the infamous Cottesmore hunt. And what followed was a 2-hour live stream where Chris and the team completely destroyed the trail hunt lies. Chris opened the stream with some of the revelations uncovered by Protect the Wild's hunting report of the 2022-23 hunting season.
More than 15,000. More than 15,000. 15,180 estimated hunt meets in the 22-23 season.
I was surprised.
Staggering, isn't it?
I guessed about 400, I think, yesterday, so I was really shocked.
Before joining other Sabs as the hunt rode out to start the day's hunting, much to the disgust of Chris and Megan.
In the British countryside, you know, people riding out with a pack of hounds to hopefully, from their perspective, tear a fox to pieces for fun. Absolutely sensational.
Really couldn't make it up.
Couldn't make it up.
Off they go.
Couldn't make it up.
Poor horses, poor hounds. Absolutely disgusting. You just can't make it up. Just can't make it up. Right, we're going to jump in the car.
Chris and the team then jumped in a car and began their pursuit of one of the most violent hunts in the country. Indeed, just over a month ago, we reported on a steward acting for the Cottesmore hunt pleading guilty to assault following a vicious attack. It was brilliant to see Chris armed with stats and figures from Protect the Wild's hunting report expose this hunt for what they are: a gang of violent wildlife abusers. In fact, throughout the stream, you'd find it difficult to spot many scenes where Chris isn't holding his dossier of information.
Protect the Wild report, which took all of the hunt saboteurs' data for 2022-23. It was published in February of this year, and it's got some alarming statistics in it, which we've been putting out. If you haven't seen them at the start of our broadcast, I'll run over a few again now. 46% of registered trail hunts were caught chasing or killing foxes in 22-23.
Tip of the iceberg.
Tip of the iceberg.
And this particular moment did make me smile.
Yeah, okay, I'm looking for questions. People are putting very kind comments in. Someone has said here, love the stats. Thank you very much.
I think Chris is just reading out the comments that are giving him a lot of love for his stats. I feel like there's a bias here. I mean, I love the stats, don't get me wrong.
Fast forward 5 minutes and they caught up with the Cottesmore hunt, who strangely peered from a wooded area with thick bramble.
Have you laid a trail in there this morning, Nicholas? Now's your time to talk. You're talking to millions. Have you laid a trail in there this morning, Nicholas? Has a trail been laid in there this morning, Nicholas? No answer.
Hey, just have a little look in here. Have a look at this land. So that is where the hounds have just come through. You can see that's thick brambles. The hounds came through the centre of that with the horses. That would have meant that a human this morning would have had to got up first thing and gone through the middle of that little copse here, laying a trail. If for it to be justified as trail hunting, do you honestly think that anyone did that?
Absolutely, there's no way anyone did that.
It's not
No
trail
way
hunting,
anyone
is it,
did
really?
that.
Looked to me like those animals were just out.
I couldn't agree more. with Chris and Megan. Why on earth would a so-called trail hunt end up in an area like this? One where wild mammals are so likely to be found. To think too that the Cottesmore were likely aware they were being live streamed to over 30,000 people at one point across Chris's social media channels, and this is still how they decide to carry on. Now, this is a good time to say the behaviour of this particular hunt is often a lot worse, with severe violence against the brave hunt saboteurs simply standing up for wildlife happening frequently. Chris speaks to one of the Northants team about an awful situation she was victim of.
The lady that was hit by the car is here.
She's okay.
And that's remarkable in itself. So you took the beating in the car and you're still sabbing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us a bit about what happened on that occasion then.
So it was right at the beginning of it actually. So we started running up a lane which we didn't realise was private property, but the hunt were in front of us, the dogs were on a scent. And I looked behind me and I could see there was a car like some way off. But you always kind of keep an eye on it because we know what they're like. Carried on going up the lane, looked back again and the car had moved like closer to us. And the last thing I remember, I looked behind me and the car was, 2 metres behind me. And like they say, everything went slowly, really, really slowly. And I'm thinking, it's not meant to be like this. This was meant, I literally thought that was it. I'm a goner. The next thing I knew, I was on the floor. So I don't remember any of it, none of it at all. And then went into shock. And then had such anger, and then the tears and everything. I think I was more upset that she didn't stop. She
drove on?
She just drove on and she hid her vehicle.
And hid the vehicle?
Yeah.
Sadly, violent incidents are taking place literally all over the country, as Chris goes on to illustrate.
Let's talk about some hunt violence.
Oh.
So again, in the report that was put together by Protect the Wild, there were 211 individual instances of hunt violence perpetrated, and that included 198 minor attacks and 13 major attacks. And this is violence obviously towards the hunt monitors and the hunt saboteurs. So this is not wildlife violence, this is violence towards individuals. So that's 211 incidences in one season, one sort of 6-month period. And then there's some individual figures here. I won't run through them all. Blackmore and Spartford Vale, 11 minor attacks. The Cottesmore hunt, that's the hunt that we're on at the moment, 11 minor attacks. South Dorset, 11 as well. And then Mendip Farmers, that's the one that Fabian and I were out with in March of this year. That was 6 minor attacks.
And of course, the wildlife itself is under attack too. Just moments before this, the team spotted a poor hare being pursued by hounds who had picked up on the scent.
Fox on the run. Oh, it's a hare. No, it's a hare. Sorry, bad eyesight in the conditions, but there's a hare running across the field. Oh, poor thing. It was so misty.
But again,
another animal just being chased. So that's maybe what the hounds are excited about if they sniffed out that hare.
What Chris's broadcast demonstrated really well, I think, was all of the different elements to a so-called trail hunt that prove how much of a sham this pastime is. First up, the role of terrier men on quad bikes.
We're not familiar. The 2 quad bikes have boxes on the back, and allegedly they have terriers in them. And the terriers are used if a fox goes to earth. So if a fox goes down into its own earth, or another fox's earth, or a badger set, then obviously it's a badger set. They're not allowed to interfere with that. But as you'll find out, we've got some stats coming up a bit later. Enormous numbers of badger sets are interfered with. But then those guys are on hand to put the terriers down into the fox earth, or the badger set, to drive the fox back to the surface so it can continue to be pursued by the hounds. So the argument is pretty simple. If you're trail hunting, excuse Fabian coughing, I'll apologise on his behalf, otherwise his mum and dad will be really cross and tell him off later. If they're walk and talking. If they're trail hunting, then why on earth would you need terriers? Because you're following a marked trail, you're not following a fox. You're never going to need to drive something from, security underground.
Chris also talked about the interference with badger sets, which Protect the Wild's report highlighted as a major issue.
61 different hunts had at least one report of set interference made against them. So that was about 150 hunts. 61% of those had reports of set interference. So this is badger sets that were being harmed, and here we are. I've got a few individual accounts here. Somerset Sabs found 2 men digging a badger set out during a meet of the Western and Banwell Harriers at Overstowie on the 3rd of September 22. West Kent Hunt Sabs captured on film at least 3 men digging out a badger set at the meet of the East Kent and West Street Hunt in Etching Hill the 19th of November 2022. Cirencester Illegal Hunt Watch found 2 men digging out a badger set during a meet of the Cottesmore Hunt near Calmsden on the 4th of January 23. And lastly, the 3 Counties Hunt Saboteurs found 2 men associated with the Crewman West Warwickshire Hunt digging out a land drain near Abbots Salford on the 16th of February 2023. So, these are badger sets which are being harmed. Badgers, obviously, as you know, are a protected species in the UK, and so therefore any interference with the set is technically illegal, but it's very frequent when it comes to fox hunting.
Again, yet more evidence of just how ludicrous claims of trail hunting are when you start to build a picture of the sorts of things taking place across the countryside. And I couldn't have put it any better than when Chris absolutely tore fox hunting apart in one brilliant moment.
I mean, what goes on, right? I'm not going to pontificate, but what goes on in someone's mind when they want to get up of a morning and come out in the mist and mud, gallivant around the countryside with a pack of dogs intent on tearing a fox to pieces? What is actually happening here at that point?
I just have to say a big thank you personally to Chris for the devotion he gives to this issue. The time and money he spends on campaigning against fox hunting and standing up to the hunts. Also, a special mention to Fabian Harrison, who filmed everything on the day and does absolutely superb work for Chris too. They really are a super team. And of course to Megan, who has supported lots of our campaigning work over the years as well. She was an excellent addition to the broadcast. The live stream really was an interesting watch. It was filled with so much important information and insights about hunting. I would really recommend that you head to Chris's channel here on YouTube and watch the whole thing if you do get a chance. Now, this is where I would usually plug our petition for a proper ban and ask that you leave a donation, but I thought I'd let this final message play out instead.
The Hunt Saboteur organisation is brilliant at keeping us informed. That's very fast. Hunt supporter going past. Brilliant at keeping us updated with the news from what's going on with illegal fox hunting in the UK. It's still very much alive and running, although numbers are dwindling, as we said earlier on. But there's so much you can do. Perhaps you could even give your time. Perhaps you'd want to go and be a hunt sab. There's lots of information on the websites if you do want to give your time to do this. It's a very noble thing to do, but you do need dedication and a lot of hard work and willingness to be out in the rain, in the cold. But, that is a brilliant thing. More boots on the ground, more eyes watching this. Yes, donate, sign petitions, message your MP.
Message your MP. Also, we have to say a big thanks to Protect the Wild, who took all of the Hunt Sabs information from that season that we've been reporting on here. They've got that report on their website. There's also a fundraiser on there. Protect the Wild are also running a petition, which you might think about signing, asking for our current government to make sure that the holes in the ban the closed loopholes are closed and the ban is properly put into force. So you could think about signing that petition as well. All to mention League Against Cruel Sports. There's a whole range of different people who are working, towards the end here. League Against Cruel Sports, a different set of techniques, not so much in the field these days, but they're constantly lobbying government, working behind the scenes to get that. So check out their websites too to do that.